Hello there and welcome to Core Finance, where I'm joined by Charlie Long, who's a mining analyst at Beaufort Securities. How are you today, Charlie?
Very good, thank you.
Right, I believe you've got a couple of gems.
A couple of gems,
yes.
yeah, although no diamonds or gemstones, but a couple of gems to chat about. And also Rio, or the general space, the general mining space.
All right.
Which has confused a few people recently and probably will continue to confuse me. But PDZ, PDZ, Prairie Mining, I thought chat about that quickly.
Yes, so, well, I hope we may be able to see it on the screen actually, but we've got a trend channel there which I've drawn based at the 200-day moving average. That's a red line there, 27p, and it's you had the breakout, in the autumn of last year? Any particular event there on that?
Yeah, that was an acquisition. They bought a hard coking coal mine in Poland, so this is a coking coal company, so it's got two coking coal projects, which is a bit unique. I don't think there's any other coking coal only mining companies out there. So that coking coal used in the manufacture of steel,
right?
As opposed to burning, burning for power, for heat and power.
I do remember that from my O level.
That one, yeah, it's for steel making, and it's.
So I mean, wasn't the interesting thing there that they made the acquisition, the share price went up? Because normally things go either sideways or down when you do that. So the market appreciated.
The market understood it. Interesting that they did understand that. I don't know if it was just people close to the story or insiders that were buying the shares, but that was an acquisition that cost them virtually nothing, but it was a fantastic coup. And so now they've got two projects. And the reason I want to talk about it today, this morning, is because they've got China Coal as their partner on one of their projects called Yankarski. And they're doing a feasibility study at the moment. And they're going to publish that probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And that will be the catalyst for the Chinese to, not China Coal themselves, but another Chinese institution, basically Chinese government money, to fund the development of this mine, and they could come with up to 80% of the funding requirement for this mine, and so that's quite a big thing. This is a junior miner with two quality projects, which isn't really understood. Market cap of 50 million quid, which should be higher in my opinion. Suddenly going into, it's already going into business with the big boys, and a couple of events could end up it really becoming a proper mining company.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, the difference. The reason why this chart is going up at a diagonal in the right direction is presumably because of the funding issue has been settled. Whereas most companies on the junior market, let's say, they have a project which is which may have billions of tons of resources underneath there, but they don't have the money to do that. So they're just like you and me, basically.
Yeah.
So isn't the message there that if you are a mining company or you're thinking of being a mining company, sort out the money first?
Absolutely.
And your shareholders will like you rather more.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. Although, just to be clear, the Chinese funding for this big mine hasn't come yet, but I can see it coming. I can't see why it wouldn't. In terms of the share price so far, that's been sort of bolstered by good institutional support and a company called CD Capital, which is a mining specialist fund that's committed about up to $80 million, and I think about 15 to 20 have already gone in. So Prairie has been able to attract funding from proper institutions up until now, and that's kept the share price going in the right direction.
So more upmarket.
But we're talking about a big jump when the Chinese say, okay, here's a whole load of money to build a big mine. And this is a major mine of on the global scale. It's a big mine. 8 million tons of sort of ore comes out and producing about 6 million tons of coal.
Right, and I mean, I've got the chart heading to 50p, but I mean, obviously that's just a chart.
Sounds like a sensible level.
Is that something that you're looking at as well? That figure on a fundamental basis?
I'm looking at a higher price target than that, but I understand these things happen in stages, and the catalyst probably won't take it up above 50p, but that seems like a nice sort of short to medium term or 6-month target.
Right, okay. You wanted to look at Rio Tinto to give us a sort of shop window for the mining sector as a whole?
Yeah, but before that, I just want to mention another company because I went there this week, and as we're talking mining companies in Europe, this was in Europe. It was actually, I flew to Milan, which was rather nice, except for being caught on an EasyJet plane for 5 hours, which wasn't so nice. So, but when we got there, this is actually an Aussie company called Energia Minerals that has an old zinc mine in the mountains up above Milan, which sounds environmentally a bit sketchy, but it's a mining town. full support from the local people, and all the processing facilities are going to be underground, most likely. If they're not underground, they've already been permitted at a different location. So this is an old zinc mine that produced 14% zinc and lead material, 6 million tonnes of it. It was owned by Eni, you know, the Italian
Yes, exactly.
oil company. And at the time they had a mining arm and hydrocarbons, and the government said, you're going to stop the mining, please, and they basically just switched it off like that. So this mine has got lots of underground infrastructure, developed reserves that weren't mined, and great grades. And the company's just building up the resource base. It's sort of on about 3 and a bit million tonnes now, but their target's sort of 7 to 10, but there's potential it could be 15 to 20 million tonnes of ore at decent grades. It's a nice little project, and I brought a lump of it here for you to see, which I don't think will show very well on the cameras, but that
hopefully
is...
people can see that. Is it worth a lot? Because I'll just take it afterwards.
It's worth a lot to me.
Oh, okay. All right.
But that's basically pure zinc sulphide,
fantastic.
sphalerite, and just to show the grade of the zinc. Well, no, if you've got a ton of it, if you've got a ton of it, it's valuable.
Okay.
But
well, what are we talking about?
It's valuable as to a
$1,000?
geologist as a specimen. I was probably worth about 20 quid. Anyway, and then Rio Tinto, if we've still got time.
Yes.
So anyway, that was something to watch. Energia Minerals,
Okay.
Aussie
That's listed on which market? The
ASX.
Okay, all right.
ASX.
So Rio Tinto, a bit of a dip for May and June, but the trend really since, I suppose, from the beginning of last year is still up, isn't it?
Yeah, for all the miners, end of June, sort of June the 27th, they all started to outperform, while the rest of the market underperformed. And that we couldn't work out exactly what was happening, but luckily we've got a Chinese chap in our office, and he was saying, look, there's some Chinese news, which may or may not be the real explanation, but it's our explanation. The President Xi, at that time, I think it was on the 27th or the 26th, he basically said the GDP number is going to be fine. And there was some good industrial profitability numbers out of China as well. So there was we think that people were buying the mining sector on that rumour from the president himself, and then we expected a little bit of selling when the GDP number came out and it was good. But actually the iron ore prices continued to be strong. Rio has just reduced its production guidance for the year, and the iron ore price is now around $70. So it's quite an interesting, unexpected move, really.
So there's momentum there, even with the president's insider information.
With the president's insider, but he's allowed, I think, to do that. He's not FSA regulated.
He can do, well, yes, he can.
But generally, most of the banks, most of the analysts are bearish on iron ore. So it'd be interesting to see which way it goes from here. And I'm probably on the bearish side, but it's so difficult to call.
Well, we'll have a look at that for next time. But in the meantime, Charlie Long, mining analyst at Beaufort Securities, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.